that policy.
That is not the correct interpretation of the Convention of Law at Sea, 1982.
As you use the word interpretation, so there are different interpretations.
Yes. Well,
all right.
So we do it, and then the French can sue us. That's how it works,
all right.
actually.
To apply for asylum.
We've already done more than our bit. Over half a million people, asylum seekers in the last decade or so, have come to the UK.
But
we
that's
can't take everybody. No, hang on.
That's less
so if someone is
than almost
rejected,
every other EU
Polly,
country.
The debate surrounding illegal immigration is a hot topic within Britain. Different parties have different concepts and different ideas on how to combat it. One thing for certain, though, is Labour approach doesn't work. In today's video, we will be taking a look at a fiery debate on the subject as Richard Tice shuts down Labour and the whole panel on the subject. In today's video, we will watch and react to this, all whilst going over all of the latest headlines from across the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for daily British content. Have a watch of this.
Cases a month. That is the small.
It's clearly not a deterrent because 20,000 people have come since the Labour government won the election. And look, this is extraordinary. It's remarkable that in Germany it wasn't illegal to people smuggle to other nations outside the EU. But this will make no difference whatsoever. There is a silver bullet that will stop the boats. It's what we should have done under the previous government, but they didn't have the guts to do it. Legally, you've got to pick up and take back to France, which we're entitled to do under the United Nations 1982 Convention of the Law of the Sea. And what's interesting is I've been talking about this for over a year now. No lawyer, no government minister, no civil servant has said I'm wrong. And there's a reason for that, because I'm right.
Well,
and they're embarrassed.
Well, that's not true. I'll come back to that in a moment. But
Karen,
Karen, on your point, on Richard's point, I should say, that you didn't have the guts to do what Richard Tice and Reform UK is suggesting, and that's pushbacks.
I think pushbacks was something, you know, it's all very well Greece to Turkey, for example, who are quite clearly not close allies, but for the UK and France, close allies, to be pushing boats back is very antagonistic.
Let her finish.
And I think, Richard, you know, simple answers to this is not the solution. This is a very, very complicated situation. We need to stop people feeling the need to leave their home countries in the first place. We need to work with those countries that they're transiting through. We need to work with those countries that are facilitating through whatever mechanism the illegal boats. I was calling 18 months ago for the EU to set up a boat register, for example, so that those boats, we could stop them before they ever got on the channel.
So pray tell me, why aren't the boats leaving and coming to us from Belgium? I'll tell you why, because the Belgian authorities pick up the boats themselves, which they're legally obliged to do under that same international treaty, and they take them back. But because France are failing in their international obligations, we've got to do the job for them. And the moment you do that, this whole thing stops. We know it works because it worked in Australia 11 years ago.
It was a very different situation, but sorry, go on, Karen. Hang on.
I fully support Belgium, and actually I've been working with Belgium MPs.
So Belgium can do it, the French can do it.
So that we can work closely with Belgium, because they're absolutely right that they are doing a fantastic job. But I do not think
so you're accepting the French are doing a bad job?
I don't think the answer is to vilify the French in this situation. The answer
we've vilified the French for 300 years or so.
But the answer is to work with our allies, work with our friends, and try and stop this problem, which is a global problem.
Can we legally return people in the way you are suggesting without permission and consent from France?
Yes, and legally, France...
we can't.
We can, Joe.
I'm sorry.
Legally, Joe, France has a legal obligation.
Well, that's different.
Under that same international treaty.
France has not consented, and this is according to the House of Commons. Hang on. Let me finish the sentence. France has not consented to the return of vehicles to its waters. It's given a negative response to any proposals of what you call pushbacks. Without the consent of the country you'd be pushing the boats back to, the UK cannot legally adopt
of the law, which both lead to profiteering by criminal gangs that circulates in other parts of the illicit economy, and the exploitation of incredibly vulnerable people. Nobody wants to see that, but we can't imagine that there is a simple solution or, in fact, a way to make the problem go away.
Do you support more safe routes opening?
Well, the thing about safe routes is actually we've got safe routes already.
Well, where are they?
750,000 people came into the year to June 23 legally under the visa system to the United Kingdom.
Hang on, we're not talking about the net migration. Let's focus on safe routes, which we have had for Hong Kong, for Ukraine. We did have one for Syria. I don't quite know what state that is.
When someone is rejected, but the point, we can't accept everybody.
No, I'm not asking that. Should there be more safe routes for people to apply for asylum?
We've already done more than our bit. Over half a million people, asylum seekers in the last decade or so, have come to the UK.
We can't take everybody.
hang on.
That's less
if someone is
than almost
rejected,
every other EU
Polly,
country
if someone is rejected
proportionately.
under a safe route and they then come here illegally, what's your response?
I absolutely think that we should have enforcement, but I'm just
that's what we're trying to do now.
I'm
We're failing at
contesting
it.
your claim that we have done more than our bit. In fact, the cost of supporting refugees
about
in the UK
midway,
is
actually,
substantially
compared
less than many, many other countries, and particular countries within region, including very poor countries, who absorb huge quantities of cost and burden.
Right, okay, let me just come.
What do you think of that? Let me know down in the comments. In some other news, a former NATO commander has slammed Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's proposed Chagos Islands deal with Mauritius, calling it a ludicrous surrender. Rear Admiral Chris Parry warned that the agreement, which could reportedly cost British taxpayers £18 billion, represents a betrayal of UK interests in the strategically vital Indian Ocean territory. Mauritian Prime Minister Navin Ramgoolam claims the UK has doubled its original £9 billion offer to transfer sovereignty and lease back the Diego Garcia military base. However, Parry dismissed the deal as unnecessary, arguing, "We own the islands, we have plenty of military power. Why change the status quo unless it's for ideological or anti-colonial reasons?" He also pointed out that the International Court of Justice ruling on the matter was only advisory, not binding. Criticizing the financial aspect, Parry said, "With Mauritius's annual GDP at around £12 billion, spending £18 billion on this deal is absurd." He also warned that the move could leave the territory vulnerable to Chinese imperialism. Parry emphasized that the Chagossians want to remain British and insisted that Mauritius has no legal or historic claim over the islands, which lie 1,500 miles away. He accused the government of prioritizing anti-colonial credentials over national security and dismissed the deal as resembling reparations. If you look at social media, most people see these payments as reparations in disguise. "We own the islands, let's keep them. The Americans want the base there, and so do we," he said. Downing Street has pushed back against Ramgoolam's claims, disputing the reported terms and costs. A Number 10 spokesperson insisted, "We will only agree to a deal that serves our national interests and protects our security," adding that any agreement must include strong protections against malign influence to ensure the base remains operational. For now, the Prime Minister's office has provided no update on negotiations, calling some of Ramgoolam's statements factually inaccurate. Lastly, Princess Kate never shared Meghan Markle's perspective on the royal family, a source claims, with the two taking very different approaches to their roles and relationships within the monarchy. According to The Times, Kate preferred to bide her time, carefully observing royal dynamics, while Meghan took a more direct approach. One insider said Meghan viewed Kate as too eager to please, while Kate saw Meghan as unwilling to respect royal traditions. Kate, guided by William and royal staff, embraced advice and hierarchy, whereas Meghan resisted it. The sisters-in-law have since grown apart and are no longer on speaking terms. Meghan, who stepped down as a working royal in 2020, has not visited the UK since Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022. So, what are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments. That brings us to the end of today's video. Hit the like and subscribe button for more British content. Oh, and don't forget to get your t-shirts at BritishStand.com. Link is in the description.